1 with the duo Sope Martins
and Victa Pepple.
Now it's time to bring you Business Express every weekday at 6:30. We'll bring you business business big stories in the next 15 minutes.
Yes. It's all about what affects Nigeria's economy and Nigeria's standing on the international marketplace as well. So we've got Rotus Odirri joining us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Sope, and good morning to you, Victor. Good to be with you all today.
Good morning. Thank you for joining. Hey, there are several ways to reach us live in the studio. WhatsApp is one of them, 0809-444-0981. On Twitter, we're Smooth981FM.
And if you are joining us via YouTube, then go ahead and leave your your comments up on the live stream, and we'll be able to get to your part of the conversation. And if you would like to go up on YouTube, it's youtube.com/Smooth981FM Lagos. All right, so Rotus, we've got a couple of things to talk about today. The first of is an article that came out in Business Day on Nigeria's crude oil exports earning zero revenue in the month of July. How is that possible?
Yeah, it's very, very, very strange. I've sent that to the NNPC. I've sent it to a couple of oil and gas analysts. I looked at the NNPC's monthly reports for August, looking at crude oil sales, at least sales receipts there was receipts, I think it was $5.9 million or so that they got from in June, and then it just went to zero in July. There's no explanation for why that is, unless they're immediately deducting what they paid for subsidies as that's coming in and going out. It's very strange. It's very, very strange. But the analysts I've been talking to have been saying that, well, between subsidy deductions and a number of other factors, it could be possible. I was hoping we would have the author of that article joining us this morning, but unfortunately, he wasn't able to join us. So maybe we'll revisit this tomorrow. But be that as it may, there will be hopefully a response from the NNPC sometime later today, just to at least give us some understanding of why that is. You can't just go to zero, in one particular month. Something could be an accounting thing, who knows what it is. But the takeaway from that, though, is that between what we're paying for subsidies, because remember, we are now in the 9th month of the year, and we are, right? Or is it the 8th month, September? So looking at 8th, yeah?
9th.
Okay, sorry, 9th. So looking at the 8th month, August, they have still not remitted any money to the federation accounts because of the fact that they've had to make deductions for what's being called, quote unquote, under recovery, which is fuel subsidies. They put out a statement on Sunday only because they were being challenged by the head of customs, Colonel Hamid Ali, about how much fuel consumption really is going on in the country. They put out a statement saying that, well, fuel subsidies have been amounting to about 297 naira per liter. The landing cost was about 490 something or 460 something. So we know how much we've been, at least they've given us a clue as to the first quarter of this year, the landing cost of fuel. If fuel was deregulated, they're saying, according to the NNPC, that we would have been paying almost 500 naira per liter. So the takeaway from that data, from that article in Business Day, is that this subsidy payments are seriously impacting Nigeria's revenues. The naira now I think it's crossed 700 to the dollar, back to 700 levels again. Reserves have not, and nothing has accrued to the reserves. That is the central bank reserves, where dollars are accrued from making crude oil sales. And so we're not able to defend the currency. We are not able to earn revenues. The Minister of Finance has put forward a budget next year, which is about a 12 trillion, anywhere from 11 to 12 trillion naira budget deficits. It's 7 trillion this year for 2020. 7 trillion for 2021. We'll get the figures for 2022, but for 2023, that deficit is increasing. So it's alarming. That's alarming. That's the word that you take away from that NNPC monthly report. It's alarming.
That feels like such an underwhelming statement or underwhelming word when we're looking at something like this. But when we talk about crude oil and then zero revenue. Of course, the looming specter is crude oil theft. So just how seriously do you think the government is actually taking crude oil theft? Because we keep hearing all this noise about, all these statements about, oh yes, this is a terrible thing and we're going to be working on it. We've heard from the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources talking about it. But do you think it's just all hot air, or do you think that they're taking this seriously?
Well, I mean, I suppose they're taking it seriously. I mean, because they made a big show of the Chief of Defense Staff going to the Niger Delta region. As you mentioned, Timi Silva, who is of course the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, he also went down there as well. Yeah, maybe they're taking it seriously. Look, the thing is this is how you measure this thing. Nigeria's crude oil production for the second quarter of this year dipped to its okay. I think we have Dikwa Oladinde. Yes, he's the author of the report. So great, he's here with us now. So crude oil production dropped to its lowest level. I think it was 1.4 million barrels per day for the second quarter of this year. So our OPEC quota is like 1.8. And historically, Nigeria has produced about 2 million barrels per day. So oil theft is impacting our production of oil. So no matter, look, if government can do all they want, they can do all the pomp and pageantry. They can tell you they're sending, cruise missiles down there, whatever they want to do. Just look at the oil production figures. If oil production figures go up, then you know that the government is stopping crude oil theft. If oil production continues to fall, then there's no need believing anything that they're saying. So the numbers will just tell us what it is that we need to know. Dikwa, can you turn on your video and unmute your mic so that we can hear from you? Hopefully you can join us. So yeah, that's what we're, as far as the seriousness of the government, that's what we're saying.
Well, while Dikwa joins us in the conversation, I know I saw this report that in the first 7 months of this year, NNPC could not remit any revenue to the federal government, despite making about 2.8 trillion naira, which of course NNPC would tell you was used for fuel subsidy or whatever it is that they used the 2.8 trillion naira for. However, a lot of people have raised concerns, in fact, eyebrows with regards the 4 billion naira that we spend for pipeline security. And I mean, some ex-militants are the ones who are beneficiaries of these particular funds in terms of, pipeline security. Yet we still hear about crude oil theft. Rotus.
Yes. Yeah. So the I didn't know his first name was Government. I did not know the guy's name.
Government Polo. Yes.
Government.
Every time I read it, I always thought it was a mistake by the writer in the article.
His first name is Government. Yes.
I've always known him as Tom Polo. That's the only name I've always known him as. Anyway, so Government, what's his real name? Government Ponolo or something. Anyway, either way, that money, that contract has just. You've had militants come out from everywhere saying, no, we also want that contract and so on. I think the government believes that the best people to engage to secure the pipelines are the indigents that live there. Again, you can, like I said with how your question about how serious government is, you can give me the contract, you can give Sope, Victa, give anybody the contract you want that you think is going to fix it. At the end of the day, what's it called? Oil production will tell us whether or not it is working. That thing is a 4 billion naira contract.
At the end of the day, Rotus, we all know what Tompolo was like in his heyday before the contracts were awarded. And so if we see other agitators who are looking at, okay, so that's all I need to do to secure a contract, why will we not see even more theft and more vandalism? I'm not sure I understand the logic of this, but
same here. Real quick, Dikwa is not able to turn on his video, but I think we can hear from him. Dikwa, can you welcome? Thanks for joining us. He's Dikwa Oladinde is an oil and gas analyst, and he's been with us on the show before. Dikwa, the article you wrote in Business Day, can you please tell us how it's possible that there was no oil revenues for, I think, July, according to that NNPC report?
So good morning. Good morning, Rotus, and good morning, everyone in the studio as well.
Good morning, Dikwa.
So the NNPC was not clear on the reason why there was no income from oil export for that. I mean, sources have always complained that the government's JV assets are currently struggling to produce. So the only pipelines that are currently pumping out crude oil now are the offshore pipelines. And again, those offshore, how connected are they to the export terminals? So the JV assets are the one connected to the export terminals. The JV onshore assets are the one currently struggling with the massive.
Sorry. One sec. Just for our viewers, can you just JV's joint venture, the joint venture agreement, just for our listeners?
Yes.
Okay.
So joint venture agreement. This is where the government, alongside any of the IOCs working in Nigeria, will agree on certain conditions, and which they use these conditions to determine the crude oil that would be pumped out of this pipeline. Sometimes it's 60-40, sometimes it's 40-60, depending on the terms of the agreement. So it's supposed to be a joint agreement between the NNPC and the IOC. But these pipelines are Nigeria's export terminal.
I think did we lose Dikwa?
To the export terminal.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, so you're supposed to connect these JV assets to the export terminals. From the export terminal, then you can move it to wherever you're moving it to get your FX to earn your oil dollars. But now these JV assets are currently struggling to produce crude oil because, crude oil, there are some export terminals that are not even producing anything at the moment, anything. So apart from our offshore assets, I don't know any onshore assets that is currently producing crude oil. So, the crude oil theft is alarming currently. It's at a level never seen before in the history of this country. And a situation where we are losing close to 700, 800 barrels per day to just crude oil theft. That is massive. I don't know anywhere in the world where this kind of incident is happening. So that's currently the situation. I don't know if it will get worse going forward. Time will tell. We look forward to the next reports. And I've tried to put a call to NNPC just to get clarity on, just for them to highlight which are these joint venture assets, a list of all of them that are not producing, so that we can even be more detailed enough and find out what they can do. The NNPC claim they are currently doing pipeline. They are trying to increase their pipeline surveillance, use more technology. Time will tell how effective all these developments will be going forward.
All right, Dikwa. So let's end the show on a couple of messages that have come in. The first coming in from Victa, who says, could it be that the revenue is now transferred to the new NNPC Limited? Whilst Ogene Ochuko says, no remittance from the cash cow, that's NNPC. That implies that that all in government are living on the VAT and other taxes we paid. Hashtag auditing now for NNPC. And Lenin says, Sope, the difference for re-engaging Tompolo is that for the 7 years that his company has been off the contract, the federal government's output has crashed to all-time lows as a result of insecurity. I guess they feel the former bride was actually more effective. We are in a serious crude oil theft situation. All right. Thank you for your messages. And that comes...
yes, we've come to the end of it. We see more messages, but hey, we need to wrap things up here. And we will be back again tomorrow at 6:30. But we must thank you very much, Dikwa Oladende, for being a part of the conversation today. Rotus, Odirri, always fantastic on the, Business Express. What's Business Express without Rotus? I must put that there. Anyways, let's keep the conversation going on Twitter at Rotanquote. Tag us in, Smooth981 FM, and let's keep talking about this until the NNPC reacts accordingly. 7:30 will be bringing you Freshly Pressed.
Yes, and before that, watch us for some great music. We've got Chike coming up with Beautiful People. We'll play you some Mali music as well. A lot coming your way.